Want to trade with Rithika? Join Chase at www.laductrading.com/chase.
Hey guys, hope you had a great week. So last week, you can see here we went sideways and pretty much remained sideways. If I go to the weekly chart, you can see that we kind of had an inside week this week. You can see that this Monday, we gapped up over this previous level of resistance. Hence, you can see that we ended up pushing to the upside. That is good. In the broader scheme of things, if you're a bull, that is a very good open. So now, as long as you stay above this previous level of resistance at 5772, we should continue moving higher. As we previously discussed, this red path to the upside. So, I did tell you that we could have an extreme B wave at the pink line. So, ideally, if you're still thinking bigger picture, the market is going to break down, I would say 5,900, that's your level. You break over that, then that case ultimately becomes invalid, right? And we are pushing to make a new high before we top. So, that's still in the question. You look at the chart of QQQ, same thing you can see here as well. The wave 4 finished here. We gapped over the previous level of resistance. Now, again, this 505 to 520 would be your ideally where it rejects if you're bearish. Otherwise, you stay above this 506, 507, continue pushing into 540, ultimately into this top of this channel. So it would look somewhat like this. So that's why I'm still on the bull case, not saying that we cannot reject this. You can see here is a heavy level of rejection. On the other hand, we know that chart broke down. So that's the reason we are leaning more bullish than bearish. You can see that we are coming down into that 17 level. If 17 breaks, we will come down into 14.5 on wick. Dollar, on the other hand, had that bounce, oversold bounce. Still, we've not tapped the bottom of the channel. I do think this bounce gets rejected, and we're probably going to come into that 96.5 level on the dollar. Last but not the least, you look at IWM, same thing, kind of had that oversold bounce. Now it's just kind of hovering over this. You can see this green path here. We could go up, come down to fill this gap before we proceed higher, but level by level. We know that 210 is resistance. If that breaks 215, 222, but again, not bullish till that 228, 229 level breaks above. On IWM, so far we're chopping. So with all that being said, let's look at this week's watch list. We look at the chart of AMD. You can see here we had a breakout last week. Now we're gapping higher. I would say at the most we come down to fill the gap at 103, but I think this chart, you can see here, this chart should continue pushing to the upside. At least the top of the trend line, a little bit of selling, but the top of the trend line would be about 125. So the bounce should at least continue into then. If not, that breaks, then we have a lot higher levels to go. Gold, on the other hand, having a little bit of sell off because of the dollar. The gold break 300, we could still have a little bit more just digestion into 295, 285 before we continue higher on gold. So that's what I have on gold. Apple, on the other hand, seems to be lagging the other stock. We did bounce off the bottom of this channel. Looks like this is our wave 1, wave 2, pushing into a wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. And we have, go to the daily chart, we do have a gap to fill on Apple into the 220 level. So as long as we stay above that 209, we should continue pushing into 212, 215 on Apple. So that's what I have. And last but not the least, this is more a gap sell trade kind of. We break 115. You can see here, even this area would be your bottom of the trend line. So just a small gap fill before we continue higher. That is, if there is some selling to start Tuesday, then you could look for a gap fill trade on PDD to the bottom of this channel. So yeah, that's all I have for this week. I hope you have a great day.
Join Chase to trade with Rithika and other experts. Subscribe to LaDuc Trading YouTube channel for more Wolf's weekly wave list videos and other content.